But first, Buckingham Palace has confirmed that Prince Harry and Meghan will lose royal funds and will no longer use their HRH titles from this spring. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex will also repay £2.4 million that taxpayers spent renovating their Berkshire home, Frogmore Cottage. Now, of course, this all comes after they went public with their wish to step back as senior royals. Joining us to discuss this and much more is the Conservative Party chairman, James Cleverly. Thank you very much for being here with us this morning. So, how do you feel about Prince Harry and Meghan stepping back from their royal duties?
Well, I mean, ultimately, this is a decision for them and Her Majesty the Queen and the royal family. And I understand that not everyone wants to live their lives in that, media bubble and with that level of intense scrutiny, and that's completely understandable. And I'm really glad that they've come to an arrangement that clearly the Queen is happy with and they're happy with.
I mean, there's some big questions for the country, taxpayers as well, aren't there? I mean, if they're spending their time, or the majority of their time, in North America, who should be footing the bill for security?
Well, the government doesn't ever discuss personal security arrangements. I think people will understand why that's the case.
Even just on the sheer question of who's going to pay for it?
Yeah, we don't discuss it at all. I think it's really important that these arrangements are kept private, and so yeah, I won't be drawn on that, I'm afraid.
But why does the cost need to be kept private? I understand of the details, of course, of the security.
Well, because the cost implies detail. That's the thing.
OK. Now, last year, we did a podcast with you. We'd had a quickfire round in that podcast. And one of the questions we asked was, William and Kate or Harry and Meghan? At the time, you said Harry and Meghan. Are you still on Team Harry and Meghan?
Well, look, it's really interesting because, of course, Harry didn't choose the life that he was born into. And we could see that he was clearly very happy being a soldier. And I think sometimes less happy, as I say, with that very intense public scrutiny.
So you've got sympathy for...
Yeah, and I do think, ultimately, family is really important, and his wife and his child are really important to him. And I think if they're finding a way that works for them and the Queen is happy, then I think we should be happy.
I mean, we've spoken a bit there about the media scrutiny and the intensity of that. I mean, some have said that Meghan's been the victim of racism. Is that something that you recognise, or...?
I think this country is one of the least racist, one of the most open and welcoming countries in the world. And that's reinforced by things like the British Attitude Survey and a whole load of international surveys about people's acceptance of other races. She was subjected to a huge amount of media interest, and that can be really difficult to deal with. And if they choose a life that means they don't have to deal with that, I think we should respect that.
And then just kind of finally on this topic, the actor Laurence Fox was on Question Time this week. And one of the audience members was talking about how she believed that Meghan had been a victim of racism. He disagreed. And then she said that because he was a white privileged male, he has no experience in this. This is what Laurence Fox said in response. He said, "I can't help what I am. I was born like this. It's an immutable characteristic. So to call me a white privileged male is to be racist. You're being racist." Do you agree with Laurence Fox there?
I think that was a little rhetorical flourish. I think that there is a point about saying that if you haven't had a lived experience, you cannot comment at all on certain issues. And I'm a bit uncomfortable with that. I'm not entirely convinced that is the most pernicious form of racism that we've seen ever. But I do think that everyone should have the right to an opinion, irrespective of your background. I think one of the things that we need to encourage is for people to disagree with a bit more dignity, and that disagreement not being quite so aggressive or personal. I think that's something that a lot of people would hope to see. And Laurence was clearly on that programme. He was there to entertain. He's an actor and entertainer, and I think he was very entertaining. Not that I always agreed with him.
OK, entertaining. Interesting word to choose there. Now I'm keen to move on to talk about some policies that the government is pushing. Today, you're looking to give police more powers when it comes to stalking. What exactly is it that you're trying to do?
Well, what we know is a huge number of people have to endure stalking, a much larger percentage than I think most people would would realise. And it's something that no one should have to deal with. We want to give more powers to the police and the courts, and stalking protection orders is the vehicle that we are bringing forward. So from tomorrow, what the courts will be able to do is apply a stalking protection order, which will limit what someone can do in terms of how they approach or proximity and all that kind of stuff. And if they're breached, the courts and the police can take action, and that will protect people. And there have been occasions where people's lives have been taken by stalkers, and we want to protect people from that.
And we're going to be discussing this more later in the programme as well, with one of the police and crime commissioners. A really important issue,
Yeah,
as you say. Another policy that's in the newspapers today, in the Sunday Times, is this notion that the House of Lords is going to be moved, uprooted from Westminster and moved to either York or potentially Birmingham. Is that right?
Well, what we are looking at is a whole range of options about making sure that every part of the UK feels properly connected from politics. When the Prime Minister stood up the day after the general election and said this is going to be the people's government, he meant it. And that meant connecting people with government and with politics. Because the referendum in 2016 wasn't just about our relationship with the EU, it was about millions of people and their relationship with politics as a whole. And so we're looking at a whole range of ways of connecting people in the kind of places where we won representation for the first time in decades.
So is it going to happen then? I mean, could we see the House of Lords being in a different place by the
we
next
might.
election?
We might. It's one of a range of things that we are looking into. But fundamentally what this is about is it's about demonstrating to people that we are going to do things differently. The Labour Party lost millions of voters because they failed to listen and to address their concerns.
Why don't you just get on and do it? I mean, you've got the kind of majority where you can be radical. Just do it.
Oh, trust me, we're going to be radical. We are going to get stuff done. The Prime Minister is absolutely clear, and this is very much the focus of the government. It's about delivering, and it's about delivering for the people of this country. North, south, east, west, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. We are absolutely in delivery mode.
On the House of Lords, there have been reports as well in the Sunday Times that Jeremy Corbyn is going to be nominating John Bercow for a peerage, the former Speaker. Do you think he'd be a good person to be sitting in the House of Lords?
Well, again, I'm going to fall back on convention here. By convention, we don't discuss the peerages and nominations before the event. So I'm going to.
In principle, do you think that John Bercow should be in the House of Lords?
He's a very experienced politician.
That's definitely in a well-behaved mode. It says you've got an eye on the reshuffle here. Are you like trying to hang on to your job or something?
No, I mean the simple fact of the matter is that the nominations process. There's always a lot of speculation. It's always good fun until it actually comes out. We won't know exactly who has been put forward, and people, your viewers, very well informed. They can speculate all on their own. They don't need me to help them speculate.
OK. Now we're talking there about you were promising that the government was going to be radical, that you're going to be focused on delivery. I mean, some people will be questioning why we are embroiled in a row over whether Big Ben should bong for Brexit. And it's worth pointing out that this was effectively started by the Prime Minister when he asked people to donate to make Big Ben chime on Brexit Day, even though it's going to cost potentially £500,000, and even though the House of Commons might not even be able to accept the money anyway. I mean, is this a bit ridiculous?
Well, I think there has. I mean, the Prime Minister made a light-hearted statement about Big Ben. Trust me, this is not the most pressing issue in government. It generates a lot of interest, of course it does, and it's good fun and it's good media knockabout. But
are you thinking about donating some money to prove your Brexiteer credentials?
No, I'm not. Any money I donate will be to other good causes.
And what about Andrea Leadsom? She's only forking out a tenner. Is that insufficient commitment?
Well, everyone's philanthropic acts are up to them. But I mean, look, it's a good fun story, and it is a fun story. It's a light-hearted story. But ultimately, this is not. I can assure you, the main focus of government.
So Boris Johnson hasn't asked the cabinet to chip in, then?
He's not asked me, no.
OK. Now, there's another story that I am keen to ask you about in your role as Conservative Party chairman, and that's Jamie Wallace, the newly elected MP for Bridgend. Now, he was allegedly involved in a sugar daddy website. Now, he's denied it. Since then, more information has come to light. We've tried to get hold of his office. We haven't received anything at the time that we're talking about it now. Now, the website asked, are you a student, a single parent, or just short of money? And then it claimed, we can introduce you to your very own sugar daddy and solve your money worries. Are you looking into these reports that one of your newly elected MPs was allegedly involved in this?
Well, I mean, the activities of that website is not something I'm at all comfortable with. But ultimately, the relationship between that company and any companies that Jamie might have been involved in is something that that I'm not in a position to look into. That business arrangements are separate, and if he has done anything wrong, that will be looked at by the whips. But at this stage, I don't know that he has done anything wrong, and the exact relationship between him and various businesses, I don't have full details of that.
Yeah, I mean, are those details that you're going to try and get? Because I understand, of course, you're saying that this is not completely a matter for the Conservative Party, but whether or not he has the whip is.
Well, that's something, as I say, that without knowing, and it's difficult for me to say, he's done something right or he's done something wrong, because I don't have the full detail of the
Well,
the
Chairman,
business
why
relationship.
don't you try and get the
Well, because
details?
it's not. I mean, actually, because it's not my job. If it's presented to me that he has done something wrong, as it is the case with all members of the party, if something's presented to us as a party saying, look, this person has done something wrong, then we will take action. But we're not an investigation unit. It is not our job to start looking into speculatively looking into the business arrangements of members of the party or members of Parliament.
But why not be proactive here? I mean, are you a student, a single parent, or just short of money?
But as I say, his relationship with businesses that he's run or other businesses, I don't have the details of that. And as I say, it is not our role to go looking for a relationship or business relationship or trawl through business records. If something is presented to us where someone has done something wrong, as we always do, we will take action.
OK. Now, we were talking a bit earlier about the potential of a reshuffle that we're hearing is going to be in the coming weeks. Are you worried about keeping your own job?
Well, I think I've always had a philosophy that if you've got a job to do, get on with that job, do it well, and if that is recognised, that's fantastic. So, and I think that the idea that people in a role, whatever that role is, should do anything other than focus on delivering on their remit is that's a nonsense. That's how every organisation I've ever been in, every successful organisation I've ever been in focuses. Have a job to do that job.
Can you confirm it's happening next month then?
Well, we already know that the Department for Exiting the European Union will be closing down. It has delivered on its mandate, and the team there have done what's been asked of them. So there's going to have to be a degree of reorganisation, but I'm not involved in planning of that, and I don't know how extensive or otherwise any changes in government will be.
You're expecting it to be next month, though?
Well, as I say, I mean, DexU is going to be finishing when it has completed its job, so there is inevitably going to have to be some kind of change after that. OK.
And then just finally, we're, of course, covering the Labour leadership contest on the show. We'll be hearing my interview with Jess Phillips a bit later on. As the chairman of the Conservative Party, which candidate are you most afraid of fighting at a general election?
Well, I'm not. I don't have a view. This is for the Labour Party. This is for the Labour Party to decide. But one of the points
you must have a view, even if you don't want to tell me.
Well, one of the points that the Labour Party have got to decide is: are they going to start listening? Because when I was campaigning across the country, including in many Labour heartlands, the message I got back over and over again was the Labour Party had stopped listening to voters. So my only piece of advice, whoever does get it, is if they want any chance of being successful, they need to do what the Conservatives did at this election, which is to listen to people.
OK, James Cleverly, thank you very much indeed, James Cleverly.